Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Here this Sunday. Got some weirdness on the screen here. Sorry, folks. Give me just a moment. There we go. That takes care of that. Yeah, good to have you folks here on a Sunday afternoon. It's been very productive for me so far. Doing some redistribution labs, which I'm about to share. And if you have any questions about, I posted one of them on Instagram and two of them in the Discord. So if you've been watching that or paying any attention and are curious about these redistribution problems, one of them is, well, neither of them are labs that I made up. They're just labs that I modified. But we'll get into that in a minute. Hope you're having a good Sunday and a good weekend. I did not get really many calls. I got a few calls and texts based on a project that's going on that someone else has kind of been handling, taking the reins on. So it's been good in that way that I've not had a lot of interruptions. And I've been able to do a lot of study, like a lot. I mean, hours upon hours. And I still have some energy. Like I'm still feeling good about, wishing I could lab for another 7 days straight. I mean, I'm really excited about what I'm learning. So that's an important thing, right? Is excitement. Like if you're not, some topics are kind of difficult to get through, but the ones I'm working on right now are fun. So that's always a good incentive. Most of the stuff I work on for CCIE is fun. And when it's challenging, it becomes fun in a different kind of way, right? Anyway, let's just talk about wallpapers of the day. I changed it. Pardon the beauty on the screen, folks, but I've basically got this rotating now. It's all these new wallpapers that came with Mojave. So they rotate like every 30 seconds. No particular wallpaper other than that. And I just want to talk a little bit about the Azure labbing project. I'm going to keep this as a regular series on the vlog, I think, because it's in the interest of preparing for the CCIE, in my view, because it's going to be something that I'm going to be giving away to the community that people might be able to use. So and it'll also help anybody who wants to learn a little more about labbing in the cloud or just doing things in Azure in general and some of the agile principles. This will be good as well. And if you're working on CCIE, guess what? Evolving Technologies is in the written. 1.1 first section is cloud computing, right? Second is network programmability. So we're going to be hitting on both of those. I only want to mention I didn't really do anything like what I wanted to on the Azure lab today, but I did find kind of another need. So what was happening is in the EVNG lab system, and this is just for some, oh good, Abe is chiming in on this lab. Big Abe, I don't know if you're able to watch the stream, but I'm about to go over this lab on stream. I'm just going to let him know. Yeah, we've been, so I posted this, and like Big Abe often does, he loves a good challenge. He loves to get in there and lab on stuff that is going on in the community. And this is the lab we're going to work on here in a minute. And he was eager to like lab this out, which I think is awesome. It's cool. It just encourages me too to dig a little more. So anyway, yeah, and that's part of why I added another to-do list to my EVNG cloud project, because here's what's happening. So if we go to the Eve VM, here's the issue, and I can't really show you what's going on here. Yeah, root Eve. Yeah. I'm getting a lot of labs, so anytime I do a lab, whether it's in Network Lessons or something I see on YouTube or one of Tony E's labs or INE, again, I'm doing a lot of small labs. I'm not trying to be an expert at labbing right now. I'm just in the written learning phase, which means I'm going through a lot of small labs quickly And I usually save them just in case I want to go back or I want to relab it with someone on Discord. And it's getting to be a little bit to manage right now. So in Eve, I don't know if I could show this. Okay, word. Big Abe thinks he has a solution. Okay, awesome. We'll cover that one first, Big Abe, once you get on. So what's happening is if you go to your EVE-NG server, and this is the same, I'm sure, with Viral and with GNS3, is that you can end up accumulating a lot of labs. And I have an EVE-NG server here on this desktop. That's an EVE-NG Server Pro, and I have EVE-NG in the cloud. Right now I have 2 servers in the cloud. What I want to do is sync up all the lab files. And I will say with Viral, that is one advantage because Viral had integrated Git. I haven't found that yet in EVE-NG, not even in the Pro edition. Maybe it's there and I just don't know it and I haven't seen it in the documentation. Now Git is installed, which is cool. So that's really all I need. If there's no difficulty, I mean, this is Ubuntu, right? It's based on new Linux. I mean, this, well, not this one, but the one in the cloud's a bare metal Ubuntu 1604 install. So it should have Git as well, or allow me to install Git easily enough. And what I want to do is just, you know, I created a repo. So this is a private repo, folks, because again, some of these labs are from workbooks and things. And it's proprietary content that, you know, I don't mind kind of showing you what it looks like on the screen, but, and so yeah, I created a repo here, and there's a way you can navigate. It's pretty easy on the server to just navigate. I think it's, what is the path? I just had it. Yeah, I just did a, yeah, it's under user. Oh shoot, where are those files? Yeah, anyway, this is the repo. I call it lab sync. Yeah, the first thing I want to do now, I want to automate everything. So I need to create, I don't want to use the sudo user. So I want to create a bash script that I can launch in an automated way. Anytime I spin up a new EVE-NG server, I want this to be part of the process, right? I want to have it'll probably be a shell script, a bash script, or a Python script. And one, it's going to go out there and copy the images to the EVE-NG server because I don't want to include those in the public repo, right? Can't do that. And it's going to go, that will be one repo, and then another repo it'll go and it will copy the lab files. It'll sync up the lab files with the local lab folder. So that's the aim. But yeah, that'll be the, I was working on that right before the stream and I ran out of time, but I will get back to, hopefully finish that tonight. At least the lab file sync part. So, written progress, it's going well. I've been going through a couple of things. Let's bring up the Network Lessons course, and I'll just show you where I'm at. So we go courses, Cisco, routing, CCIE, and switch written. We are on layer 3 technologies, fundamental routing concepts still, and loop prevention mechanisms. So I've been working all day on this lab, which is troubleshooting AD redistribution. And then I remembered Tony E doing a lab on redistribution. I was like, I want to go back now that I'm on that. I vowed, you know, that lab looks really fascinating. I'm gonna go back and do that lab when their time is right. And today I went back and did it, and I watched his video again, and there was something that was sort of inconclusive, at least to me, in that video. We're going to go over that as well. So we're going to look at those 2 labs right now on this stream. And the first one is this troubleshooting AD redistribution. I also started last night on the authentication labs. So I got through EIGRP, and now I'm on Ospf. I hope to finish the Ospfs today. Then Monday, and all next week, I have a decision to make. I have, how many days do I have left? 64 days. So these areas, while I have weaknesses for sure in all these routing protocols, remember this is for the written. I'm tempted to move and still continue to focus on areas where I know that I have weaknesses. I guess I'm a little afraid that I may not get all of these units done in this many days. Additionally, this course does not cover all of the Evolving Technologies 1.1. So here's what I have, right? I have, let's just talk strategy, right? In 64 days. So I have network lessons, may not finish all of them. Then I have Evolving Technologies 1.1. I studied a little bit of this last night, so there's a lot of material to cover here. It is 10%. Like, it's not... I don't want to spend a disproportionate amount of time studying for Evolving Technologies, but as I learned last time, I did horribly on it. I probably got 1 point out of 1 percentage point out of possible 10. And if you look at the matrix, if you look at this Excel matrix, there is a lot of material to cover here, even the free material. So I'm going to be using this, and I may just paste this into my own. Yeah, let's do that. Let's copy this whole, I have my own blueprint tracker. I watched the course designer of the CCIE program, routing and switching. I watched his Cisco Live on demand session late last night. We're talking like 1 a.m. I was watching that thing. And one thing he said is they wanted to make this spreadsheet for 1.1 because they realized that's what people need so that they can incorporate it into their own. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I want to go through most of these because I'm feeling weak in a number of these areas. So I'll talk about those just, well, no time like the present. So my grading system is like A through C. I feel pretty good about this one. This is under cloud, of course, A.1. And performance and reliability. I think this is about sort of comparing the cloud to other solutions. Security and privacy, give myself a B. Scalability and interoperability, B. Automation and orchestration, I feel weak because I say that, I give myself a C. I know automation and orchestration pretty well in Azure. I know those tools. I know the principles, how they work, but I know very little about these tools that are mentioned here. And it doesn't mention them by name, but I was watching that last night, Cloud Lock. Yeah, there's a lot to do here. A lot of content to cover. Workload mobility, B. Troubleshooting management. OpenStack components, C. Wait, is this 1.1? Internet of Things. Yeah, I think OpenStack components is still there, right? Let's double check. We don't want to be wrong about this. We do not want to be wrong about this. Oh, that's Nick Russo's guide, which is awesome. Here we go. Yeah, hold on a second here. That looks like, all right, so let's look at cloud. Yeah, I've got the wrong spreadsheet, folks. Jeez. Okay, let's get the right one. Here's the learning matrix. I'm going to copy this link if you don't have it already. Download this bad boy. And yeah, I saw OpenStack and I was like, ugh. Please don't make me dig into OpenStack any more than I have to. Just a few windows open, folks. Sorry, let me close that. Actually, we will delete this. I don't know what just happened. Yeah, that's the old. Okay, this is the one we want. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, books and videos, Cisco live presentations, courses. This is awesome. I love that they made this finally. Something that was really needed. So here's our grade. And these are 10 points that I cannot afford to lose, or 10 percentage points, I should say. So I feel good about that. I feel okay about that. Okay about that. I will need to study some more of those frameworks. Workload migration. I love that they're covering that. That's very pertinent to my job. That's part of one of the missions of what I'm doing now. My day job is trying to get workload migrated into the cloud, right? Compute, virtualization, containers, and virtual machines. I feel okay on that. I've done a little work with Kubernetes. And although that's microservices, really, but I've done some work with VMs and containers, like Docker. Connectivity, SD-WAN, B on that, C on that. Automation orchestration tools, this is what I was talking about. So I feel solid on, I'll give myself a B. I feel solid on automation orchestration in Azure, for example. I know what tools to use there, but Cisco has these tools that I know very little about. So, and obviously they want you to learn the Cisco tools. Data models and structures, I give myself a B. Programmability, C on that. Just because I'm more familiar with, I don't know what gRPC is. I feel okay on that. Controller-based design, network management tools. I feel pretty good about that, although I need some practice on SVN. And IoT, network hierarchy, and data acquisition and flow. B, standards and protocols, characters with it. B, I watched a webinar on that, or a Cisco Live on-demand session on that last night as well. IoT security, B, edge, IoT edge and fog computing, B. So, work to do, folks. All right, we're going to save that. So, getting back to sort of strategy, what that means for strategy is that I have a lot of videos and study. Hey, you're welcome, Mark Milo. Good to see you, my friend. By the way, speaking of sharing, any change I make to that blueprint, you know, it has a grading system in there. It has, actually, let me rename that. It has, you know, my exam results. You can put yours in there. You can read, you know, it has days left, some helpful links. You all are welcome to use this. Like every save I make, it's, hey, show IP interface brief is checking in. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Yeah, the changes I make to that sheet, I want to stop comparing. No more compare. How do I turn that off? I'm not starting to see it, but I do try to get some of the content during my free time. That's good, man. Nothing but the good bits. Needs to be a song. Hey, Big Abe in the house. Good to see you, man. I have not gone over a redistribution yet show, so that is coming up here shortly. And, oh, I don't want to do any of that. There we go. So yeah, just going over the TAC plan here. Good to see you folks in the stream. Glad we held off for a minute because I know Big Abe has been labbing this. And we are about to do this redistribution problems. But yeah, so 64 days to go. By the way, folks, as far as my vacation time, like I am taking off in November. I am taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vacation days. And in December, I'm taking like another 5 vacation, like basically 2. I have a week off in November and a week off in December. But with that being said, I've got a lot of ground to cover here. I've realized in Evolving Technologies 1.1 because between 1.1 and 1.0, there's a lot more that I realize that there's a lot more that has been added that I am weak on. So with that being said, I've got a decision to make after I finish this section, fundamental routing concepts, and I think what I've decided to do is I'm going to go ahead and skip, for now, reviewing RIP, EIGRP, OSPF, and BGP, and go to ISIS and cover this. I'm weak here. I'm not as bad as I was before failure number 1. So, but these are my really weak areas in the exam. The VPN technologies, infrastructure security, and infrastructure services. So I think I'm going to skip around. I didn't want to do this. I thought I'd have enough time to hit the network lessons, but yeah, it's an entire course. So that's probably what we'll be doing. Appreciate you all taking the time to listen to me talk about my strategy that I'm sort of forming in my head as I go, but that really helps me, right? All right, redistribution problems. So we'll go over the first one. And again, this first one is not my lab. It is from networklessons.com lab. However, I did make modifications to it. Thanks, Rittenhouse. Good job, folks. Being my sounding board. All right, let's clean our windows up here a little bit and get ready to do these labs. I already have the lab loaded. Let's see. I'm very confused right now about where everything is. Okay, here we go. So we're going to move this into where the chat's at. And if you all have any problems at any time seeing things on the screen, just let me know. Okay, so I may have, there's something I left out, Big Abe, on this lab, and I'm glad you're seeing it. For now, so I just had to make the move from 8 years of collab to a new position of route switch. Wow, that's an adjustment. I was up till 5 a.m. trying to figure out this darn ASA 5506 they gave me to practice on. Interesting that they gave you a 5506 and ASA to practice on route switch. Because that's kind of like security. Although most of us in routing and switching have done ASAs. It's part of the job. Yeah, I understand, man. Absolutely. I have spent a lot of time on the ASA platform, believe me. And it's all good stuff because ASA has NAT, it has access lists, extended access lists. Oh yeah, Big Ape says, I cut my firewalling teeth on the ASA. Same here. Actually, it was the ASA really that I attribute to me wanting to get into networking, to be honest. Because at a previous job I was at, I was mainly like the Microsoft AD guy, Active Directory. And, I was doing VB script to distribute group policy and things like that. running login scripts using VBScript via group policy, but no one else was taking care of the ASA. We got a new ASA, and someone else came in and set it up. I feel 100% Lantern, me too, yeah. Someone came in, and they had a third-party vendor, of course. This always happens. A service provider came in and installed the ASA, set up a couple of site-to-site tunnels, and they had also recently deployed a bunch of, a new, basically, forklift upgrade to Catalyst switches from fiber to the desktop to copper to the desktop with Catalyst switches. And there wasn't really anybody handling the ASA, and I took it on. Like, they needed a modification to a site-to-site VPN tunnel, and they didn't have a lot of money. So after working on that thing a bit, I was like, man, I want to learn this networking stuff more. That's what I really want to do. I'm bored of the server stuff. Let's learn the networking stuff. So yeah, good deal. All right, so on this lab, this was the problem I threw into the Discord. Okay, Big A, let's check in with you here. Oh yeah, for the redistribution, I did figure out why my router 4 was looking right, and I know the answer, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so let me, before you, I'm going to ask you, Big A, to type in the answer, but before that, full disclosure, the original problem that came from the networklessons.com lab was not the one that I posted. I actually created that problem. So you might be seeing there were two other redistribution problems that were already fixed by the time I introduced this new problem. So to be fair, the first one was that the loopback here, L1, was not being seen by router 3. And the reason was for that, let's see if anyone can figure it out here. So let me show you the configuration for router 2. Let me check over here first. I want to make sure, I forget how I saved it. Okay, I need to take this out real quick. And I know I showed this yesterday, so forgive me if I'm kind of repeating. I'm just going to go over this quickly because this was a lab. If you watched the stream last night, this was the lab I was working on, and you just saw one of the answers. But here's an issue, right? And let me check router 3 real quick. And in network lessons, the hint here is that this was a problem, this was, there are generally two types of redistribution issues. One is metric related, and the other is administrative distance related. At least that's the way Renee Molinar teaches it in networklessons.com. And INE also kind of uses that as well, right? So this one is administrative distance related issues. The one I did, I may have labbed that yesterday on stream too, or showed it, but the metric one was first. This one's administrative distance. So we're going to actually see three problems total in this lab. And I'm just cleaning this up here real quick. And we'll just go over the administrative distance problems first. The ones from yesterday and the solution. And problem 1 and problem 2. Then we'll go over problem 3, which is the one I put in the Discord, right? Okay, so what we have here on... Oops, I want to do that. No. Again, it's good to be able to look at a topology and try to guess or figure out what the potential issues are going to be, right? So what we have here on router 2 is here's what it's doing. And I think this is the way I described it in Discord, is that router 2 is advertising, it's advertising its networks into RIP, OSPF, and EIGRP, right? So if you look at EIGRP 1, we have 2 loopbacks, by the way, right? Show IP alias. We have 3 network segments and 2 loopbacks, and there's our connected routes, right? So 2222 is a /32, and then we have 22.22.22.0/24 is the other loopback. Then we have 3/24s, right? 1, 2, 3. Router 1, I never used that before, but it just occurred to me that this is a good way to see, show IP alias will show you the IP addresses, like the network and the host bits. Doesn't show you the interface. Show IP interface brief shows you everything. It shows you the IP addresses and the interfaces, but it does not show you the mask. But I just thought about it, like, what if I do show IP route includes C for connected? And there you go. That's pretty cool. So 1.1.1.0/24 is L0 and 12.024. So pretty simple here. And we've got router, so it's advertising all these into RIP. Router 2 is advertising all these links into, well, let's go over that again real quick. Show run section router. Let's look at the advertisements that it's doing. So in EIGRP, which is here, it's advertising both loopbacks, and this interface. So actually, the interfaces that are participating in EIGRP, let me put it that way, are this link and of course the 2 loopbacks. We're also redistributing RIP into EIGRP. So let me make a little arrow here. Let's add a little shape context. Line style Bezier, yeah, buddy. Oh, check that out. Oh, I forgot all about the Beziers. That's right. Nice, lol. Yeah, man, I love the Beziers. I've just found it challenging sometimes. What I figured out is you have to grab the, you have to select the edge like that. So we're just going to use that to indicate our, it's not like working with Visio or Draw.io. Can I lock that? I cannot. Okay. Transparent. Yeah, we can't lock. You can lock the lab. There's a way to lock the lab to prevent yourself from, why does it select that like that? Oh, because of the border. So this is at an angle. That makes sense. Okay, what I need to do is just try to get this grabby right here. Here we go. Geez, this requires a, I don't even know what. All right, so we're going to use that squiggly for redistribution. Sorry, folks. This is, I know it's kind of providing very little value here. So we've got let's just shoot. It's making the surface look pretty good right now, isn't it? Delete. All right. Let's just use a little circle. Why are you not redistributing RIP into OSPF? I'll check that in a second here. So we're going to say this is RIP to EIGRP. Okay, and then what else we have? So with OSPF, what we're doing is we're advertising now let me go back and see if that was in the original lab. Good question, Tony. Let me check and see. I may have taken that out at some point to solve a problem, but let me see real quick. Is this the same layer? Yes, it is. It's the same one, dude, for him, except, well, it's modified. So I've introduced these two loopbacks, which created a new problem. So, but yeah, otherwise it is pretty much the same. But the lab may not be in the same state that I left it yesterday because I've been, I was trying to break it earlier, to be honest. Trying to find new ways to break it, and areas where I saw there might be like a potential problem. And I was just kind of, playing around with the lab to see what would happen. All right, this is the AD from yesterday, where we did the show IP route profile and all that. And I'm going up to the configuration here. Okay, here it is. Way up there. So router 2. Router RIP, router EIGRP, router OSPF. Yeah, why do I have that RIP redistribution here? Oh, that was where we introduced a problem, right? So the reason that was done, Tony, is to create havoc, basically. So yeah, this is not an ideal design by any means, but this was done to sort of introduce a problem into the topology. And let me check on router 2, router RIP. Yeah, we're also redistributing EIGRP1 here. And then, okay, so this looks correct according to the redistribution problem definition. And then show run section router. We're also doing some redistribution here. So Big Abe, if you add these, you might see the same. I'm curious what problems you had without these redistribution statements, because I didn't indicate that earlier when I was Okay, so you had to add that. All right. So you added that on your own. Good. That's cool. See, I like these exercises either way, right? So we're doing here. We are doing OSPF into EIGRP. And I'm missing one. Redistribute, RIP. Okay, so this is mutual redistribution. Let's just do this, actually. All right. So see if you can identify, if you saw yesterday what was happening, you already know what's going to happen here, right? So one of the issues is that is with administrative distance. So RIP is going to redistribute this loopback 1.1.1.1/24 into EIGRP, and then router 3 is going to learn about that route as an administrative distance of 170, right? Let me actually, hold on a second here. Router 2. No, we are, yeah, 24, 23. Okay. So let's look at router 2 and see show IP route 1.1.1.1. All right, it's not in the table, right? Are you? Hey there, this plus that is in the house. How's it going, my friend? How are you doing these days? Okay, so here's the loopback. And then on router 2, notice though, we don't have that route. Had fun with the lab you're doing the other day. Yeah, man, that's good. Yeah, I'm just having so much fun today as well. It's awesome. All right, so what's happening here is R1 should be advertising 1.1.1.02 router 2. And I'm not sure why he doesn't see it there. Show IP route. Oh, yeah, so this is part of the problem. Show IP route. Make sure the interface is up. Yeah, it's up. Okay, ping 192.168.12.2. Yep. Okay. Why doesn't R2 at least have that from router 1? That I'm not sure. Let's do show. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. All right, so what happened originally is he would have seen this route. And then R2, this is why he doesn't have it now though. So R2 would have advertised that, redistributed into EIGRP. Router 3 learns this via EIGRP because that's the only way router 3 would have had a route to this, right? And then R3 Let me check R3. That's maybe where I'm getting confused, the redistribution level. Oh, we're doing mutual redistribution. That's why I was confused. All right. Okay, so what happens? 1.1.1.1 comes here via RIP. Then it gets advertised into EIGRP, AD of 170. Router 3 is going to learn that route and redistribute it into OSPF with an AD of 110. Router 2 then learns a new route via OSPF that is 110, that is a better route, supposedly, than the RIP route, which is AD 120. So that's why we're having problems with 1.1.1. And of course, the solution, I won't go way down into detail, but essentially the solution is to make the administrative distances work the way you need them to work, right? So what we could do in this case is we could lower the value of the RIP routes, the administrative distance, or we could lower the value of the OSPF routes according to router 2. And I actually favor that, right? You want your better to be lower in general. You don't want to do anything crazy. So if we've got EIGRP at 90 and 170, then if we tell router 2 that OSPF is valued at 115, well, we could either make OSPF, let's see, I want to actually lower RIPS routes. That's what I want to do, I think. I think that's what we have to do. Let me see what we did in the lab. What did Renee say to do? Decrease the AD of the internal route. Yeah, we want internal routes to always be better than external routes. So what we did here is we'll do an IP access list extended, standard. Same thing I did yesterday. R1 loop back, and then permit 1.1.1.0. Yeah, it is a /24. And then we do router RIP. Yeah, distance 100. Yeah, R1 underscore loop back. Okay, so that should provide some stability. This is going to make the internal route at 100 look better than the external route we're learning from OSPF, which is 110. Let's give a little time to converge. And there it is. So, and we see it's 100. So that fixed that problem. Then to get to problem number 3, we've got one other problem to solve, I believe, if I'm right, and that is router 3. Now this is not a black hole routing problem. This is a optimal routing problem. So if we look at router 3, show IP route, and I think it is 192.168.24. Is that it? Let's see. Okay, yeah, so this router 3 can now get here, but he's going the long way around, right? Because router 2 is not really advertising this to router 3. We're not doing distribution. We don't have a circle over here, right? So there's a couple different ways to solve that. Let's see, show IP Ospf Database. Let me just make sure I'm saying that right. Yeah, so that loopback is not even, well, there is a link ID here. Well, that's because it's external, right? So this is a problem that we could do by just telling router 2 to advertise that route to router 3, right? And then router 3 would learn. We could do redistribution over here, and that would resolve the problem of suboptimal routing, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see, what is the metric right now over here? 170, yeah. So what we could do, pretty simple. Let's do a route map too. Route map rip to Ospf permit 10 and match address R1 loop back. And let's do then we're going to go to router Ospf 1 redistribute rip, or no, redistribute rip route map or subnets, and route map rip to Ospf. Okay, I wonder if we're going to create any other issues with this. One thing I think that it is another suboptimal routing is this link. So that would be 192.168.12.1, for example. Okay, yeah, so this suboptimal routing to this link as well. So theoretically, this should resolve that issue. Although I haven't done this yet, so. Much mayhem may ensue, and that's okay. Okay, now we're finding it. It's an OE2 via GI00. That's good. 2.2.2.2 via GI01. Interesting. Great stuff. Glad it's helping out, my friends. Okay, yeah, this is problem 3. We'll get to that in a minute. But the point is that this segment and this segment are now reachable. And it's going to go through Ospf, which is good. Now let's just do a quick check. Before we look at problem 3, let's just make sure we have full reachability on our network here. And I've not figured out how to get this to work exactly right. I think it's a VS Code thing. But whenever I try to paste into even G, it gets kind of mad at me. So this used to work with Viral and text editor. Let's see if that does it. For each address 1.1.1.1, 192.168.12.1, 2.2.2.2, 2.2.2.2, 192.168.23.2, 192.168, 23.3, 192.168, 24.2, 4, and oh, we forgot to check this one over here. I think there was one other problem with this segment, 34.0, but that's okay. And then it is ping I believe that's the syntax. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. For each address space, and then it says missing close brace. But when I type that in, it works just fine. Does Control-Shift-V make it work? Let me try it in the house. What's happening in my router here? Okay. Did I just break my router here? Okay, we're gonna do Control-Shift-V. Let me paste it again. Or copy it. Yeah, no, it's not. Okay, we'll just do it. Oh, for each address. Type it from scratch and see how it takes it. Yeah, it takes it fine doing it this way. I did this yesterday. And I got really, my battery's not, so I have to draw off. Watch the rest of you. Okay, yeah, show. You'll probably be interested because I'm about to talk about your lab next. So. Take care, my friend. I know you've been working tirelessly this weekend on labbing. Awesome. I've been watching you. And then we're going to do boom, ping, address. Invalid command name ping. There's an example here in this lab. Let me just double check myself. All right, we're just gonna go to manual. Got a lot to cover here. So ping 192.168.34.3, we're good. 4, we're good. Let's look at router. Let's go to our extremities. Ping 1.1.1.1.1. Okay, we still got a problem here. And let's see. So OSPF. Oh, because it's redistributing into EIGRP. That's right. I had to do this last night. So we got a flapping condition again because this is getting injected into OSPF as a 110, and then it's going into EIGRP as a 170. And I think then... All right, why is this a problem on router 3? This is 100. He should prefer this route. Does router 2 still have it? Distance 100, right? And router 3. Known via OSPF 1. Seen this problem before where distribution causation of a route being injected at one point, being removed at another. Man, I do wish to know where I saw this at. Yeah. The INE has a couple of these labs actually as well. So he's learning this from Is it the route back? Oh, I wonder if it is, let's see, show IP route Ospf. That's actually good. 34.0. And that is correct. Let's check router 1. Oh, shoot. I did not want to do that. Oops. Okay, he has... Okay, router 1 does not have this segment here. Yeah, so what we did is we provided a way for router 3 to get to this loopback using optimal routing, but router 1 cannot go to the return path. He doesn't even know actually about this segment. And I think this is the same problem we're going to have with Tony EaseLab. I could be wrong here. Let's see. Let's look at router 2. Show run section rip. Yeah, so we don't have this segment in RIP. Network 192.168.23.0. That should solve the problem. And now if we go to router 3, yay, we're good. All right. Now let's go to router 4 and let's go to move on to the next phase, which is the one I posted in Discord. The one that Big Abe has been waiting for. And this is our third redistribution problem. All right. So let's go show IP route 22.22.22. Well, actually, let's just do a ping 22.22.22.22. Okay, that looks good. Show IP Ceph exact route. Destination. Oh, hold on. I have to do the source, don't I? Source address is, we want 192.168.34. Let's do, yeah, 34.4. 22.22.22.22. Okay, there we see it, right? So router 4, if it wants to get to this loopback, it's going to go across. This is suboptimal routing as well. It's going to go to router 3, then router 2, and then router 1, to 2 and then back. Now let's look at the same route for. Let's look at our Ceph table for 2.2.2.2. Notice this is going to go out GI00. So Big Abe, now's your chance, man. If you think you got this figured out, go ahead and post here in the chat what the solution is. I'm going to pull up a drawing I did when I was trying to figure this out. It took me a while. And this drawing pretty much explains it. Draw.io crashed. I'm not sure why that is. Oh, let's go here. Okay, I think I know why. Do what I want you to do here, program. 18. Okay. Any comments there, Big Abe? Think you got the solution? So let's look at router 2 first before I show you the solution here. Show IP interface brief. So we've got 2 loopbacks. And show run interface L22. And one thing we notice here, so, you know, I just threw these loopbacks on here. I threw a number of loopbacks on here just to play around. And I thought, well, let me try a /32 and a /24. And that is really the key to solving this issue, because what we have is, first of all, in the first phase, which we've already resolved. Oh, this is Tony E's lab, sorry. Yeah, I don't have a diagram of this, but that was kind of key for me figuring out, okay, why would it treat a /32 different than a /24? Because the redistribution that is happening here, we have redistribution both into EIGRP and into OSPF. So let's see if we get a clue by looking at router. Well, let's look at the routing table. 2.2.2.2. All right, notice this is showing 2.2.2/32 with a distance of 90, which is what we would expect, because router 2, this interface, is router 2 is injecting it into EIGRP, right? And GI00. So it's advertising it, it's not redistributing it, it's advertising it directly into EIGRP with AD of 90. But if we look at the IP route for 22.22.22.22, notice this. Does that look right? First of all, the distance is 170, which means what? We're getting it from redistribution, not from direct injection. And the mask does not look correct. We got a /32 here. Now notice what the next hop is, router 3, right? 34.3, so the clue must be over there. All right, so let's look here, show IP route, or show IP ceph exact route. 192.168.34.3, 2.2.2.2. Notice he actually is also having an issue, right? Because, and this, maybe this is what you saw, Big Abe. I didn't actually look this far earlier, but notice that he's trying to also go through GI01 for 2.2.2.2. Let's look at 22. Now, this is interesting, right? This is trying to go directly towards router 2. And the reason for that is, we know why this is, because router 2 is advertising it. Let's look at the routing entries. All right, this is also /32. Notice that. But he's learning it through OSPF, which is an administrative distance of 110. And EIGRP, he's learning also through EIGRP, but that is a distance of 170. So he's going to go this way. Now let's look at the let's work on the suboptimal routing for 22 first. So basically we have a /32 here on router 3, and on router 4 we also have a /32 with a 170. Okay. Let's look in the EIGRP topology. Okay, actually you can see it here, right? So notice this, we have two routes for 22.22.22.0. Well, we have a 22.22.22.0 and we have a 22.22.22.22/32. Now, how did that happen, right? Because obviously, in this case, in EIGRP, if we have two routes, well, we're always going to take the longest match prefix, which is going to be the /32 route. 4 letters is how it happened. Yes, it is 4 letters. That's right. You are correct, sir. A lot of 4-letter words, probably. But yeah, so we have DEX. So this is external route. We know redistribution is happening here. So let's look at we see that through EIGRP with an AD of 90, that's what R2 is sending. So let's just write here to make this easy to understand. And again, this was found just by me just playing around, right? Which is sometimes when you find the coolest stuff. Right, so you've got to go in this way, EIGRP as a /24, but obviously in OSPF we have a /32. So at that point, AD doesn't matter. It's the longest match prefix, right? And that is a 4. Those are 4 letters. I know the why. I just didn't fix it. That's all that matters, man. Here it is. So this route gets here. Router 2 is sending. It's telling 2 different stories. It's telling one story to EIGRP. It's telling another story to OSPF. It's like it's, living 2 different. It's living a double life, right? Router 2 is. Well, it's just following the rules, to be honest. So that's why we're getting suboptimal routing, and router 4 is going this. It's saying, hey, this is the longest match prefix. I'm gonna go the long way home. But here's the real issue and the solution. And it has to do with those 4 letters, like Big Abe said. Let's look at our OSPF database, because obviously here we've got a hint that there's something going on with OSPF that is different the way EIGRP is handling things, right? So let's do show IP OSPF database. 22.22.22.0. What I'm doing a little wrong here. Show IP OSPF database. We'll just do that then. All right, so here we go. We have a link ID, and this is a router link, which is correct. It's a directly connected link to the router. Then we have our external. So he's actually learning also, once this gets over to once it gets redistributed from router 3 to router 4, it gets back, word gets back to router 2. But by then it's a /24. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, router 3 is advertising it. So let's look at our router link states, right? Show IP Ospf Database router. And then we can do 22.22.22.22. Okay, notice it says a router link. Link to, what kind of network is this? Stub network. Now that's interesting, right? It says stub. And this one is also stub. This is the one we're interested in, right? Network / subnet number. It is completely lying here, isn't it? It would seem so. Because it has assigned a /32 subnet. All right, what if we change the network type? We know that in OSPF, the network type is important. We didn't change anything from the default, right? Show run interface L22. So we didn't change any defaults here. We just put an IP on it. But here is the solution. Let's do IP OSPF network. Now we have 4 options here. So we can kind of rig this, and now that I remember this, there is a lab for the same problem in the INE Advanced Technology Workbook. I'm remembering it now that I'm doing this. But I had to do a Google search this morning to recall. But right now we saw that it's type stub, which is a special type of network. We've got a transit network here, which is an Ethernet segment. Actually, let's do this first. Do show IP OSPF interface. That doesn't work, does it? Okay. So let's change it to a point-to-point. All right, we're lying a little bit here, right? But it's not, there's no point on the other end. But now let's look at our Ospf database. Aha, look at this. Link connected to a stub network. It still says stub network. And as a matter of fact, on a stub network type, you can only use, there's only a couple of those network types that you're allowed to use. But we see that seems to have fixed it, right? Let's try one of those other types. Well, before we do that, let's go now to router 3 and see if the problem is solved. Show IP route 22222222. And okay, this is interesting. So we may have fixed it and created another problem, but that's okay. We'll address that. Okay, yeah, now what's happening? I remember, I fixed this earlier. That's right. I remember this problem. So let's actually go back and look at router 4. Our original issue was with router 4. We created another problem. We're going to fix that. Show IP route 22222220. Actually, let's do 22. All right, there's no more /32s. So now router 4 is going to get there the way we want it to. Show IP Ceph exact 192.168.34.4.22.22.22.22. All right, he's going to go this way. We see now that we've already created a problem on router 3 now, getting to this loop back. Because now router 2 is sending the correct, it's in the Ospf database, but now it's a /24. And now router 3 is like, okay, I have the same route that I'm learning via OSPF and EIGRP. Well, OSPF loses because it's a 110, EIGRP is a 90. We need to put the same solution here that we did with RIP to fix this problem. We want internal route to always be preferred. Technically, it's getting 2 internal routes, so we just want to use the closest. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say, if I learn a route on router 3 through OSPF, there's only one link on the entire network that's OSPF, and it's essentially a point-to-point. So I'm always on router 3 going to want to prefer OSPF routes over EIGRP routes. So what I need to do is basically lower the value of the OSPF routes on router 3. So we're going to say 85. Actually, there's always a couple ways to do this, right? Let's do it on the interface. IP OSPF. That's how you want to do EIGRP, I think. Yeah, router OSPF 1, distance 80 OSPF, and we're going to say for intra area routes 85. Yeah, I think that's going to solve the issue. There we go. That's going to go out GI00, and now our network, I think, is in good shape. Show IPsef. Let's just check over here, make sure everything is still hunky-dory. GI00. Yep, we're good. All right, so let's talk about that behavior with OSPF. I had to do a search on this, and there was a really good Cisco Learning Network article on this. Let me see if I can find it here. Let's just Google. Well, it took a minute to find. Safari. Feel free to want to chime in if you want to theorize on why this is this way. Here it is. I think. Earlier today. OSPF advertises loopbacks as host routes. That is correct, sir. And the reason it does that, I think this is the search. No, that is the OSPF loopback network type. Yeah, here's the issue. And there are some use cases here, though. That's what I wanted to try to recall. Yeah, there may be instances where you need a non/32. Why would you use a /24? Well, you might be, a route could be tied to an interface. You may have pools of addresses for VPNs, dollar pools, NAT pools, etc. And good. Same article I read. Yep. Yeah, man. Great minds. Secondary addresses. I mean, there's a number of reasons. A loopback is a loopback. It's like a, it's kind of like a hack, right? I mean, you have it to use it for different reasons, management, etc. But that's why you might want to use a /24. However, the RFC for OSPF says that if you use a loopback, it doesn't matter what network you put on there, what network mask, it's considered a stub host. So it is going to, it's considering that a host on that link, and it's always going to advertise it as a /32. The workaround to that is to change it to a point-to-point link. And yeah, there's a lot. I'll post this in here on this thread, but that is the answer, which is good stuff. All right, if there are no questions on that, I'm going to actually save this in the resolved state. Because, you know, there's a lot I couldn't remember from yesterday, so that's probably going to happen again if I come back to it. So I'm just going to leave the solution in place and save it as is. And then we'll get to shows redistribution problem. We'll close this lab and actually let's modify our configs here. So that's a default. I want to create a new config set called solved. And upload config. No, that's not what I want to do. I want to do, okay, that's done. Now I'm going to export. Okay, that should export it to the solved config set. And this is one reason I'm using the Pro version on my home lab today, my home PC, because you can't do this in Community Edition, which is a really cool feature. Which is why one day I'd like to move this license to the Azure lab, or buy a license to put in the Azure lab. Okay, so let me look now at the configs. And let's take a look at these via the editor. Let's go to router 2. Okay, good, it saved it. Let me go back to the default. Router 2. Oh man, okay, it overwrote it. That's okay, I'll worry about that later. Now we can shut down this lab, open the next one. And to lead into that one, this is, so I watched a lab a while back on Tony E's channel. It was a great video. It was day 61. And I went and looked on his Dropbox, and I didn't see this lab on there, but that's okay because it's a very simple lab to build. It's just 3 routers. This is what I was talking about. I'm getting a long list here. Redistribution. Loopback 3 routers. Yeah, this is it. So let's start all nodes. And I'm going to pull up this drawing for you, because I had to draw it out. I was like, you know, he read a statement on his video from an I&E workbook, and this is part of an I&E practice lab. And I actually wrote it out. Like, I wrote out word for word, just so I could try to absorb what the gist of the design was. was like, I need to draw this out because I'm getting confused. So I did that. And this is your basic lab, right? So you've got router 1, router 2, router 3. Router 1 has EIGRP. And router 2 has a loopback here. As you can see, it's not advertised anywhere yet. Router 2 and 3 have an OSPF domain here, 20.1.23.0/24. Okay. So as it stands, without router 2 being advertised router 2's loopback being advertised anywhere, what we would expect on router 3 is this. So we're going to expect that router 3 is going to know about these networks, and also we're doing redistribution on router 2. Let's look at a router 2 config. So we got EIGRP and OSPF running here. And EIGRP is participating on this interface, not the loopback. And OSPF is being redistributed into EIGRP. The same is happening on OSPF, but I don't have the entire config out here. Let me boot this up. I'll make sure I'm not showing the answer here yet. The solution. Come on, router 2. Oh, don't crash on me now, lab. No. Surely they would be up by now. There we go. Okay. That was, yeah. I missed my big Azure VM. All right. So here we go. Router 2. I don't want to give away all my secrets yet. Okay. I remember now. Okay, so what we have is interface. I'm doing it the same way Tony did in his lab, in the INE lab. Show run interface GI01. Yeah, OSPF is loading. So what we have is interface level OSPF configuration here. So yeah, we've got mutual redistribution. Let's add a shape here. The lab's struggling just a little bit. Actually, we can use this drawing. Why am I doing that one? Let's use this drawing here. Yes, we've got mutual redistribution happening here. So if we look at router 3, we're going to know 10.1.12 network. We're going to learn that because of redistribution. It's an OE2 route, right? On router 3. We're also going to know we have our own connected networks. Then let's look at the requirements. The requirements are to redistribute router 2's loopback 0 into OSPF only. And we still want to be able to reach router 1. Okay, seems innocent enough, right? So what we do is over here we add a route map, because we only want to do, let's say we had 3 or 4 different loopbacks on here, right? But we only want to redistribute loopback 0. So there's a route map L0, and let me show it to you so it'll look bigger on the screen. It'll be easier to read on the screen here. And make sure I don't have the solution in here yet. Your lab's running a little slow right now. Oh, okay, I did. One moment. Are route maps case sensitive? They are, aren't they? Knew that, I think. Maybe I knew it, maybe I didn't. Okay. So, we created a route map. Route map has 0, permit loopback 0. Match interface loopback 0. And then we have an OSPF redistribute connected subnets route map L0. So, on router 3, let's look at our requirements, see if our requirements are met. Oh, come on, lab, don't do this to me now. Show IP route. What is, 2.2.2.2. Hey, we've got it. It is a /32, which we now know and would have expected. We can reach it. The requirements are router 1 must still be reachable. So that will be 10.1.12.1. All right, we got a problem, right? And this is what Tony showed in his video. Encountered the same problem. Late to the party, had to make dinner for the kids. New lab. Yes, sir. This is a new lab. So this actually is a lab due for him. There's a link up above. Yeah, the YouTube link is to Tony E's video where he introduced this lab. It's an INE Foundations lab, I think. And he introduced this problem. I don't know, Tony, I know Tony had to leave, but I don't know if he ever found a solution or not. He did explain part of the problem, and he read it from the INE workbook. And essentially the idea is that I wish I kept that statement. Let's see if I can find that workbook, actually. Let's see if we can find it. I mean, I still appreciate the explanation that INE made, but I don't even know if they had a solution that I was actually, like, would go along with, but we're about to explain why this happens. So I'm looking at the, let's go lab workbook here. And all the way down at the bottom, I think, are the foundation. You got mock labs, you got full scale. He said in the video, I think he said it was... Sorry guys, I'm gonna go back there real quick, because... he states it at the end. It doesn't really say. Shoot. Okay. That's all right. So basically what happens here, they gave an explanation that when you redistribute from, when you're redistributing from protocol A, which could be OSPF, right? Like in this case, if you're redistributing from protocol A and you explicitly specify a connected interface, and you are also in protocol A redistributing from protocol B, connected interfaces from protocol B, you may not be able to advertise all those connected interfaces from protocol B into protocol A when you're doing redistribution in to protocol A. And that's exactly what's happening here, right? So router 2, we gave an explicit instruction on a connected interface, which is loopback 0. And we said, okay, we're doing redistribution here via gRP into OSPF. We're going to add a connected interface, just one, into OSPF. And what the INE workbook was saying is essentially you may lose some of the connected interfaces that were being redistributed from EIGRP into OSPF. And that is exactly what happened, right? Because, again, if we do show IP route EIGRP, well, no, not that, 192.168.12.0, sorry, 10.1.12.0. It's not there. It was there before. It absolutely was there before, redistributed from EIGRP. Why did that change just from adding this loopback into OSPF? And by the way, as Tony shows on his video, the same will happen if you do the reverse. Let's say you're want to redistribute, and we're redistributing from OSPF into EIGRP, and then all of a sudden we add loopback 2 explicitly using a route map like that, then router 1 is going to lose this OSPF redistribution, this link being redistributed into EIGRP. Why is that the case? Does anyone have an idea? As it says here, 10.1.12.0 is gone. Why? Well, this is a solution that I theorized on, and again, I could be completely wrong here. But to me, this has to do with the order of operations. And this is one of my first reactions actually when I watched the video. And that is your route map. Remember, a route map, just like an access list, at the end of a route map, if you have a permit statement, like permit line 10, use static routes. Log kidding, no clue. Yeah, use static routes in the CCIE lab. Try to trick the script. Here's the thing. Think about order of operations, right? So let's be the router, all right? Let's be router 2 right now. And let's look at the order of operations. So let's look at router 2, by the way. Show IP route. Yeah, we've got 3 directly connected interfaces. And in our operations for OSPF, we're only configuring OSPF to participate primarily in this router at first, right? What we're asking OSPF to do now is to inject a connected route into the OSPF process as an external route, right? It will become an external route type OE2 by default. And that's all fine and good. What we're also telling OSPF to do is, aside from doing that work, so first of all, if you're the router, you have to think. If routers could think, right? Oh my gosh, if routers could talk, what would they say to us? So I'm an OSPF router, and I have a task to, one, look at what interfaces will participate in OSPF. And we say participate, in other words, these will be links in these will be router links. So we've told OSPF on router 2 that, interface GI01, that's where we're going to send hellos, right? That's where we're going to try to form adjacencies. Switches would sound like dolphins, or mad dogs, one or the other, depending on their tone. All right, what else are we asking the router to do, right? And I don't know that this is particularly the order that happens, but this is just my logic. And it seems to make sense to me, right? Even if we look at the order of the configuration, we're going to do, not only we're going to directly assign interfaces, we're going to do redistribution. Okay. First, we're going to redistribute connected interfaces. Subnets. Number 2. And we have a route map for that. So we don't want to redistribute everything. Like our requirements were to just redistribute loopback 0. I could have included, without a route map, I could have just said redistribute connected interfaces subnets. And it would have advertised GI00 and loopback 0 into OSPF, and that would have solved our problem, right? In fact, let's just, let's try that theory real quick. Let's remove no redistribute EIGRP1 subnets, no redistribute connected subnets route map L0. And let's just put, so right now router 3 is only going to know about what? Window management, story of my life here, window management. Show IP route. Clear IP route. Let's clear routing tables and see. Okay, how am I learning right now about that EIGRP route? I thought I turned off redistribution. Show run section router. Oh yeah, okay. That was my theory. So right now I'm doing redistribute connected subnets. So that's all my directly connected interfaces, right? But these are now external OE2 routes. Right? We're good to go. But that was not part of my requirements, right? My requirements were, and as Tony states very well in his video, and he gives some real good tips in terms of how you want to approach the lab, because remember, not only is INE workbook going to do this to you, but the real lab is going to throw these things at you, right? They're not going to make it always just super easy. They're going to be sneaky sometimes. So going back to our process, let's put the route map back on like it was. My control A didn't work there. Now, you're the router, right? You check the route map. There's a permit 10 saying per these requirements, I'm only going to redistribute connected interface of loopback 0. But herein lies the problem. Remember, there is an implicit deny clause on this route map. So if we were to write it, it would be route map L0, right? I mean, you all get it, right? Permit 10. Match interface loopback 0, and just like an access list, there's an implicit deny everything else. Basically, that's not the syntax, but. So what we're telling the router is we're going to redistribute connected, but you know what? We are not going to redistribute this interface. Do not redistribute this interface into OSPF. That's basically what we're telling it to do. So even though it gets down here to step 3, well, we'll call this step 3 again. I don't know all the internals or the processing, but my hypothesis has proved to be correct here so far. And this is the kind of the sneaky part of it. But if we add router, by the way, let's look and confirm this now. Show IP route. It's gone, right? Because we denied it. We said process this route map, permit this, deny this. So it's gone. So even though I'm the router, I come back and I say router OSPF1, redistribute EIGRP 1 subnets. Remember in security, like when you process an access list, if you get a hit, if you get an early hit that it is a denial, later down in the process, a permit statement is just not going to work, right? And essentially that's what we're saying here, redistribute EIGRP1. So, okay, now go over here and process EIGRP routes and inject them into OSPF. But guess what? I can't do this route because I already told the router not to redistribute it. So show IP route, even though now we're redistributing EIGRP, we still don't have this route. We still don't have reachability. We can reach 2.2.2.2, part of our original requirement, but we cannot reach 12.1. So how do we, what's the solution? It's real simple. Just add an explicit allow clause, basically to cancel out the deny, right? So we could do here, delete that. Route map, what's the name of our route map? Yeah, route map L0, permit 20. So this accomplishes our purpose of one, saying we want to redistribute L0 per our requirements, but we're not going to block any other. We're going to explicitly re-advertise, redistribute this one as a connected route into OSPF. We're going to eject it here, but we're not going to deny any of our other connected interfaces from being redistributed from some other process later, right? And once we do that, we should now have both routes, one learned, both OE2s. So let's go back to router 3. Show IP route. And there it is. Now we should have reachability. And we've met our requirement. Good deal. That's the solution, folks. that was fun. I also want to go back and do, while I'm on redistribution, I may go back and do one more lab, and that was what he was showing on RIP, because that was interesting. I already know the solution to that. That was called out on the Discord, but I just want to do it just to see it myself, right? So yeah, those are redistribution problems. The last part of this stream, wow, this has gone on a good little ways, about 2 hours, but this is good stuff. Good review. I'm going to save this for tomorrow, actually. Just be thinking about this question. How does the no IP classless on a router impact basically, could it affect some of your routing, including to like a default route? And two, what happens if you receive routing updates from other routers you're neighbors with that are running classless? They're running IP classless, which is default. You can't turn it off. Well, just think about those behaviors, and we may lab up some of that tomorrow. Just see. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for the support. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. Sending good bits to everybody out there. Appreciate everybody in the chat hanging out, and also in Discord. If you've got some other redistribution problems you know about that are stumpers, I'm also looking for IP prefix list, like special cases. If you got any of those, please drop those in the Discord or DM me on Twitter. And I've been kind of practicing in these areas lately. So thanks so much for hanging out, folks. I'm going to grab something to eat. I'm hungry right now. And I'm going to thank you all again. Tomorrow we start a new quote-unquote week. Let's start out right, have our plans together, and let's jam, right? Let's jam on our study plans, insert plans. So thanks for tuning in, folks. We shall see you back here tomorrow, a regularly scheduled time here in the Land Tamer stream. Have a good night.